One thing we should remember, that dinosaurs didn't all die out at the same time, because they were evolving all through that long period of time when they inhabited the Earth, and dinosaurs were coming and going throughout that long period of time. So that's one thing we really should remember. But nonetheless, at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, the ones that were still living then were very successful, and they did die out quite suddenly. So we've definitely got something to explain. And I think most people would agree, in general, that it was climatic change that probably caused the dinosaurs to die out. But the reasons behind that and what caused the climatic change is where there's a great deal of controversy among the people who work on dinosaurs. And there are sort of two main areas. Some people, I suppose you would call them gradualists, and they believe that the gradual changes in climate that were taking place at the end of the Cretaceous period, partly because of sea level changes and because the continents were moving apart and the Atlantic Ocean was being formed, so that changed ocean current patterns and sea level. And some people reckon that alone was enough to just change the climate sufficiently to cause the dinosaurs to die out. And the evidence for that comes from North America, where we know the climate became more seasonal and wetter. And people have suggested that that was enough to break up the dinosaurs' big breeding and feeding grounds. And so their habitats became broken up, and that alone might have been enough to have caused the big herds of plant eaters to go down. But that's actually a minority view. I think the majority of people subscribe to what we call the catastrophe theory, and that climate change was actually brought about either by a meteorite hitting the Earth 65 million years ago. We know one actually did strike the Earth then, because we've now found the crater, which is in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And it may have been that that caused enough dust and gases and clouds to go up into the atmosphere to cause a short-term drastic climate change. But again, not everybody even believes that story. And the other contender is that there was a huge volcanic eruption that also took place between 65 and 64 million years ago in what is now India. And that volcanic eruption went on, not continuously, but in several big phases for over 1 million years. And compared to modern ones which we've just experienced, like Mount Pinatubo or Mount St. Helens, this was on an unimaginably vast scale. And there's a great deal of evidence that the amount of carbon dioxide that was pumped out by that volcanic eruption and would have caused acid rain, and there were sulfurs and all sorts of other salts were poured out in enormous tons of material. And a lot of other people think that might have caused the climate change, either by greenhouse effect, heating or cooling. And there's evidence to tie in the land extinctions and the sea extinctions, which may have all ultimately been caused by volcanic eruptions.